Oh, I just realized that I was on mute, and so we're going to do that all over again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Bridge, where I interview and feature women identifying, non-binary, gender-expansive people who play jazz. Today, I have the amazing Jessie Nelson, who plays drums. Jessie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Jessie, can you please tell us how you got into playing jazz?
Yeah, I was 17 and I heard Tony Williams playing on Miles Davis' 7 Steps to Heaven and said, I really need to do that. Before I was a drummer, I was a flute player, but my life became much more interesting and much more fun when I decided that I really needed to go to college to learn how to play the drums and specifically study jazz.
Wow. So where did you go to college?
I went to Arizona State.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Was there any correlation between your flute playing and the drums? I was curious about that.
The last thing that I did before I decided to go hardcore and go to college and learn to play drums was I had found a book, a Mel Bay instructional book on playing jazz flute.
Whoa.
And I didn't know that was even a thing because it was like 2000, 1999, somewhere in there.
Wow.
And I didn't know that was a thing. And I checked it out and I was like, oh, okay. And then once I heard Tony Williams with Miles, I was like, forget it.
That was
I got to do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in some ways, like you heard the sound and the sound chose you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very cool. Please tell us what your practice shedding technique is like these days.
Well, I've said this before and I will say it again. I never go into a practice session without a plan. Mm-hmm. Like I know exactly what has to get done. And, I do a 10 to 15 minute warm-up of some kind. I've specifically been using for years now the Mark Giuliano warm-up. It's something that you can do anytime, any place. I've done it before gigs. It's a feet and hands combo, and I just use it religiously.
It's cool.
And
what about stick control?
Yeah, stick control. Yes, stick control. I have like 2 copies. I'm a fan. Stick control's great.
It's great.
The first 4 pages will get you through. And you can use it in a myriad of ways, hand to hand, comping, all kinds of stuff.
There was a couple of albums. There's one album in my rock guitar days where I played drums on the album. I played all the instruments, bass, keyboard, drums. And I did a couple of those pages of stick control, and like it totally kicked my ass.
Did you like it?
I loved it. It really it was like such a mind fuck.
Right.
Excuse my French.
Right.
But it was what a great introduction of precision and working with time and getting that coordination happening with your body.
Totally. And that book, that's another go-to. Syncopation by Ted Reed is the other one that we use all the time. Those 2 are interchangeable. A lot of the exercises are similar. It's the same kind of stuff. Stick control really just has a lot of things written out. That's the deal.
Right.
The specific hand-to-hand stuff is not written out in syncopation. But anyway, so practice plan, right. The warm-up thing, and then figuring out what music do I need to go over for whatever gig is coming up. And then I always give myself time at the end to play along to stuff that I love, to do some improv. One of my favorite, I think, play-along tunes ever, Workin' Day and Night by Michael Jackson. That is my favorite tune to play along.
That's great.
I love that tune. One day I will play that with a live band and it would be glorious.
Oh, wow. That would be cool.
The only way that's happened is I have done, and it's not live, I have done a drum cover video. I did that.
Oh, man.
Just to do it, yeah.
Okay. Is that on YouTube?
It is. Or on Vimeo. No. That one's on Vimeo.
All right, cool.
But that's, so I did that a couple years ago, but that's like my go-to play-along tune. I also love taking Latin grooves, like the Mozambique is my personal favorite, and doing improv stuff and just soloing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about clave?
So samba stuff, samba clave.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 2 3 3 2, all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's always fun. Afro-Cuban, improving on Afro-Cuban is always fun.
That's
but just giving myself time at the end of every session just to improv and clear my head and get stuff out.
That's great.
Way. Yeah.
That's great. It just kind of like cleanses the palate and just reminds you of just playing for fun. I think that's really important.
No, it brings you back to like why you started doing this.
Exactly. I've been in many hours of shedding, and it's so important to just as Charlie Parker said, like you practice, you shed, and then you just forget all that shit and play. And
right.
That's really, really important.
Right. And I feel like you can only do that by really having that super focus when you're shedding. Like
Yeah.
you get into the nitty gritty and then you let it go. And by then it's in your body.
Yes.
It's in your body. Like that's what we're doing. You're training muscle memory when you're drumming.
Yeah, I really love that you said that it gets into the body.
It's here.
It's here.
It's
yeah,
visceral.
exactly.
Yep.
And that's exactly my philosophy too. It's like you got to feel it, and then if it's in your body, it's going to come out in a really organic and pure way.
Totally.
Very cool, Jessie. Very cool. What's happening for you right now? What awesome new exciting opportunities are coming up?
Right now, I am the most closest thing. November 2nd, Bowery Electric, shameless gig plug. Here we go. With my jazz quintet, the group is currently called Line Tilter. I started this group back in 2016, so I had a place to play some creative music. Because as working musicians, we play other people's music all the time. We are lucky and grateful and blessed to do it. But I needed a place where I could do some composing. As you know, we're big jazz heads. I'm a huge Robert Glasper freak.
Cool.
Huge Robert Glasper fan. And so it gave me a place to put some of those things together. It also gave me a place to work with different musicians, people I had never worked with before. For a while, I was, every time I took that group out, once or twice a year, like we would do it. And we've done videos. We've done a lot of videos. And I would put different people in every single time.
Wow. And that's ambitious.
Just to do it. To do it. Yeah, I did that for a while. And what we would do is I would have everybody bring something.
Wow.
And this was a lot of like one rehearsal.
This is very egalitarian to ask your band to,
Well,
material.
Because it forced me to do, you're learning new tunes quick.
That's true.
And so like I got exposed to some really great composing and having to play some drum shit that maybe like I had never even thought of.
Right, yeah.
We had people bring in Stevie Wonder tunes. We had people bring in Prince stuff. Like it was just an opportunity to just here throw in one rehearsal, 2 hours, go, and then do the gig.
Wow, that's impressive.
The next week or whatever it was, and that's what we did. This time around, between the pandemic and it was like because we did. I'm sorry, I'm thinking in June, pandemic June. I'm so screwed up with dates. 2020.
June 2020.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We did videos at Michiko, and I hadn't touched a drum set in 6 months. But I was in practice pad mode hard during the pandemic.
Wow. Okay.
But that was odd. But I also decided I used that time I took out orchestral stuff from college.
Wow.
I went crazy. Cause I had time and like emptied the head and cleared out.
Wow.
And I took out the practice pad, set that up on the snare stand.
Wow.
Took orchestral stuff out.
Wow, impressive.
Anthony Cerrone book for all the drummers who were listening, all you all. I did the first 10 etudes again.
Wow.
and I hadn't done them since college.
How was it coming back to it all these years later? Was it still in your body, or did you have to relearn it?
Some of it was in my ear.
Oh, wow.
It was in my ears, and that was weird because I just hadn't touched it since Arizona State. That was like the freshman, sophomore orchestral chops thing.
Sure.
But it was funny because I hadn't threw the click on and like we're doing it.
Right.
But I did that, and then I let myself. I did a bunch of composing for us, and then I decided. I said, you know what? Fuck it. If we can get into Michiko, let's go do videos. So we did, and we did. We did 2 of my tunes, and we did Red Clay by Freddie Hubbard. We did Jaco Pastorius, Used to Be a Cha-Cha.
Oh, wow, cool.
Which we are doing next week.
Oh, my God, amazing, amazing. So speaking of one of these videos that you have from Michiko, we're going to play one of them from the rehearsal. Can you please introduce this video that we're going to do?
Yeah, so one of my favorite tunes that I brought to this group, and we did it this June we did it, or August, is Pat Metheny's Bright Size Life, and that goes into the same fusion, Glasper, esoteric jazz vibe. So that's what's on the video.
Okay, all right, here we go. Let's check it out. That was super cool, Jessie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you were talking about during the pandemic, you kind of went into composition mode, and that's also what feeds a lot of the material that you play in your own group.
Right.
Can you talk about what inspires you in your compositions, or specifically a recent composition that you've written?
Sure. I'm definitely, outside of all the jazz, I am a huge electronic music head. I'm a huge hip hop head. I'm a huge R&B soul person. Outside of that, and I really like being able to make my stuff about groove and vibe and chord changes.
Okay.
That's really kind of my deal. I'm
Sure.
not an amazing melody writer. That's okay. I really also love giving the people I play with like so much room
Right.
to solo and play, and I don't know, textures and those kind of things.
Right.
So I don't know. For example, I went back to one of the D'Angelo records. I went back to Voodoo.
Wow.
That's a great album. I'm trying to think of things I was listening to at the time. What else? Oh, and on the jazz end, I'm a Bill Evans freak. I'm a
me
huge
too.
Bill Evans
oh my
freak.
God. I
So-
love his Rhodes album. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bill Evans, the Glasper stuff, Erykah Badu, and this is all stuff I've been listening to for a long time.
Sure.
The Roots, Tribe Called Quest, all of that. So and just that really groove-inspired stuff.
It's cool.
And Coltrane.
Yeah.
Coltrane,
Yeah.
too.
I know.
Yeah. Coltrane. That's always a thing.
Classics.
Yeah. Yes.
All good stuff.
Yes.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some other passions that are outside of music that you do, but then also feed your practice as you as a musician, as an artist?
Sure. I am a huge reader. I'm a huge bookstore human. Nonfiction is my thing. Lots of memoirs, biographies, that kind of stuff.
Wow. So do you go to Strand? Do you hang out at Strand?
I go to McNally's on Prince Street.
Oh wow.
That's
okay.
my favorite bookstore in the city.
All right, let's throw down.
That's my favorite bookstore.
I love them too.
Yeah, I go to McNally's. I go to McNally's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So definitely reading is a thing.
Cool.
I love to look at art. I'm very into installation art, which has like nothing to do with, but just installation art. And what else? Oh, installation art. I love to cook. I'm half Jewish, half Italian. I cook my ass off. That's my thing.
Cool.
And I find it very like therapeutic. Like cooking's a form of therapy
I see.
for me.
Can you talk about other self-care techniques that you've been doing, especially during the pandemic, that kept you going and kept you healthy?
Sure. I definitely dove back into my yoga practice really hard. Good for my back, good for my core, good for my head. And I had been really pretty on top of that pre-pandemic, but
Sure.
I went, I did more. I went deeper. I tried different videos. I tried different forms of yoga for a while. Just in regular pre-pandemic life, I was doing the power yoga thing.
Oh wow.
And then
impressive.
I went
Wow.
back to more of like hatha yoga and vinyasa and just things that were slower.
I see.
Which for me is odd. And Lisa, you and I have known each other for a long time.
Sure.
So I'm like energy.
No, I think especially as being a musician, it's so important to take care of the body, and all of what we do is repetition. So doing that slow stuff is actually, I understand that as well. It really just helps realign everything and build strength. So totally awesome.
Yeah. And I found that having the time to slow down and really visit that stuff. It also changed the way I was practicing.
I'm not surprised.
After doing yoga that way for a while during the pandemic, it changed. And that got interesting because, I don't know, it was more, like we're always detail oriented because of what we do.
Sure.
But I was doing it with a different headspace.
Oh yeah, I'm sure your breathing changed too.
Sure.
Which also, changes your. Who was the drummer for Coltrane?
Elvin?
Yeah, Elvin Jones, right?
Uh-huh.
So, he had this like circle. He kind of envisioned the circle of a bar, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was fluid. Sometimes he would, he would play ahead of the beat or behind or on, and I love that sense of if you're breathing calmly, you'll feel time in a totally different way, and instead of if your body's tense.
Right, because I felt like, like instead of having to beat the time into the ground, I was able to flow with it more.
Wow.
And drive the bus in a different way. That's real. Not having to be, we're on measure whatever.
For sure.
Yeah, that definitely happened.
Oh, totally. I mean, I definitely play so much better if I'm breathing I'm relaxed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know that learning to play relaxed, it made a big difference in all my gigs. I do a lot of musical theater as well. I know you do also, and that whole business of playing more relaxed and the breathing and just having, and musical theater is meticulous, just like jazz can be. But my approach to that changed, having done all that, and so I was playing better.
Wow.
Because I was more chilled out, and that was great. I mean, it made a difference. Like I wasn't frenetic and freaked out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Can you offer some encouraging words for people who are trying to get into jazz?
Yeah, don't quit. The reason I lead with that is because I had a lot of people in my life and in my career telling me I couldn't do any of this. And I will, people don't talk about it. No, we can talk about it. When I was in college, I got to about the end of my sophomore year, and I had somebody say to me, "Oh, you're not really good enough to be here." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'm not leaving." And I finished my BA, and I took lessons, did ensembles, did the whole deal. And by the time I came out, in Arizona, there's a jazz scene. Out here, it's musical theater. But I was playing, restaurant gigs and weddings, playing standards, and I was working. And then when I came to back to New York to move here in 2009 for good, did an MFA at Brooklyn College, and I started playing off-Broadway shows at night. Okay. And so I have played every gig in any kind of, I've done all kinds of stuff that people really were like, "Oh, you weren't good enough to do it." And there's some things playing wise that I did to level myself up. I took a lesson with Nate Smith in 2016.
Wow.
I took a lesson with Tony Mason 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And yes. So just doing those things to get myself to that next place, to level up.
Yeah.
But I will tell anybody, if you want to do this, there is a way. I will say dedication. I have done all kinds of crazy things to make sure I had practice space.
Can you talk about the craziest thing that you did?
Yes. I don't know if it's the craziest, but it's definitely in the vein.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I'm thinking about I don't know. When I first moved here, and I didn't really know anybody, and I needed a place to practice. And for whatever reason, at Brooklyn College, where I did my MFA, I couldn't get practice space keys for like a while. Something happened. I don't know what it was.
Sure.
And I had gigs, so I didn't have a choice.
Right.
So I was renting from some rock band who I didn't know, and paying some stupid amount of money that I didn't, whatever.
Sure.
But anyway, and it was deep in Bushwick, and it was not gentrified over there like it is now.
Sure.
It was in some ridiculous deep, okay.
Right.
And I would go there at 9 o'clock in the morning before I had to go to class. I was doing stuff at weird hours. I would go there at 10 o'clock at night, whatever. I just did it because it had to get done.
Right.
So and it's like an abandoned warehouse, and the rooms are disgusting, and whatever. I've done all kinds. I don't
Par
know.
for the course.
Totally. Or musicians that probably people you and I know, were like, I don't know, here's $50. Here's some keys.
Right.
Go in,
Sure.
but all kinds of crazy stuff just to make sure I had where to practice. I've been lucky enough to live in some places I could practice. And I was playing with brushes. I did that.
Yeah,
I did that. And I found I practice a little better. Like getting out of the practicing where I lived thing happened because I couldn't. Like after I took that lesson with Nate, I couldn't practice how I needed to in my house. Like I just had to find a space and do it. But we're crafty.
Ingenuity. It requires ingenuity.
Adaptable. That's the word. Adaptable.
Adaptable.
People.
Malleable, adaptable.
Malleable, adaptable. Lisa, you're not kidding.
Hey, no, I know.
That's it. That's the deal. No, but I would say be prepared. Like you have to. Something else that I say goes along with the don't quit. I love it too much to quit. I've been professionally doing this for like 15, 16 years, wherever we are now. Yeah. And you have to be dedicated. You have to love it because the lifestyle and the practicing and just putting that in front, you have to love all of that more than maybe a lot of other things in your life. And oddly enough, at where I'm at now, I don't regret any of it.
Great.
Not a thing.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think it forces us to you figure out what's really important. That's convoluted, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I get it. I mean, I think for me, I love just practicing.
I do too.
I love it.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And
I love locking myself in a room, being alone and trying to just figure it out, If I spend 8 hours a day doing that, it's awesome for me. So I totally understand.
Yeah.
Having that passion to love what you're doing, especially so repetitively all the time, you have to love it.
Well, right. And, you shedding something, and at least for me, because I'm at my space 2-3 times a week, and I'll be like, oh, okay, all right, well, cool, I'll be back at it Thursday, and we'll get to the, right. And it's, but you have to love it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, oh, somebody asked me recently, 2 weeks ago, they were like, oh, you still practice? Yeah, I still practice.
Yeah.
3 days a week, just like I've been doing forever. Ain't no thing. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, okay.
But here's something that I can ask you, if that's cool.
Oh, sure.
People talk about at the age that we are, and as long as we've been doing it, you know, a lot of people stop by the time they kind of get to where like they're either really in it or they get out of it. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Just like,
I think it's just really simple. It's just kind of building off what you said. I love it.
I love it too.
I love it. You know, it was a calling for me. You know,
me too.
I can't think about doing anything else.
And I tried to do some other things in the business before I got really drumming.
Sure.
That were very sensible. I was a music journalist for a zillion years. I wrote for the Village Voice when I was 20. I didn't think I was going to get to be a drummer.
Right.
I was a teacher. I did a bunch of classroom teaching. I've taught lessons. The lessons thing is kind of attached to what we do, and that's different. But the classroom teaching, like I did a lot of really like sensible things. And the writing about music was good, and that was a different kind of thing.
Well, I challenge you, and I beg you to reframe that playing is sensible, because it's something that you love, and so if it's something that you love, keep doing it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, and Lisa, I completely agree.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say? Now, like, I think it's sensible. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would never, somebody asked me, they were like, oh, like, would you tell somebody if they wanted to go to college or grad school to study music, would you tell them no? I said, no. I said, I would tell them yes. The amount of skill, what I learned life-wise and music-wise, like you can't buy that. The communication skills that we have as musicians, you can't buy.
It's true. 100%.
That's real.
I would say the communication, not only verbal, but nonverbal too.
Sure. Yeah.
I get it. I love it. I love it. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So my last question I'm going to ask you, Jessie, what is a perfect day for you?
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Okay. I get to sleep in till like 8 o'clock.
That's like when I wake up.
Well, because you're talking to somebody who's still substitute teaching, so I'm getting up at 6.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
Sleeping until 8. Getting to hang out in my pajamas with my laptop and my coffee and my headphones, and just having some time to like listen to things. I meditate. Do some yoga, make something delicious. Go practice for a while. Get to hang out and do some reading. Maybe I'm playing a gig that night. That would be a good day.
Awesome.
That would be a good day.
Love it. Amazing. Thank you so much, Jessie, for coming to the bridge and sharing your wisdom and time and expertise. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. This is Jessie Nelson. Please, if you're in New York City, go check out her show. She's playing November 2nd at the Bowery Electric.
At 8 p.m.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye.